feel that.
All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, right here, right now, we actually have the winner of the Ryan Show's FM, The Next Big Thing. On the line, we got the one, the only up-and-coming rising star within the music industry. We got Jeevz. How you doing this evening, brother?
Doing great. You?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing pretty good. So what's everything like out there during this terrible pandemic?
I mean, like, down in the DMV, it's pretty good for the most part. Like, there hasn't been, like, a huge lockdown, although there is still kind of one since, like, April, May. Like, I would say around that time is, like, the peak, but now, things are slowly reopening, or even phase 3.
That's not bad, man. We're in stage 3 down here in Canada as well. Just trying to stay healthy, man, and to pull through this.
I feel that. I saw the Blue Jays were kept out of Canada during this 2020 MLB season.
Yeah, I heard about that as well. I think the Raptors are kept out of Canada as well. I think they're when they pick back up the basketball season, I guess all the games are going to be taking place in Florida. So yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Absolutely strange too. Like having seen sports restart, played with nobody in attendance. I was actually watching the Yankees Nationals, and it's strange, like seeing the ballpark empty.
The one thing I do got to ask you though, man, like what made you decide to get into the music industry?
Oh, kind of like being influenced by your peers, that sort of thing.
But I have to say though, man, I actually we here on Outlaw Radio, we actually air the Ryan Show, and I have to say, man, I've been listening every single week on my own station when I air it, and I have to say, man, you are a phenomenal artist, man. And I have to say, you most definitely deserve that W in the next big thing. If you don't mind me asking, what was it like taking part in that contest? Like, was it difficult, or did you just smooth sail right through it?
First of all, thank you so much for your generous feedback. It means so much.
Hey, man, you're most certainly welcome.
So, speaking of the contest, like, it's crazy, like, to compete with, like, 8 other artists who might be better than you, might put out better music than you, got more skills, got better voices, but you just got to do you and just put out your best and don't get caught up so much in competition, have fun, but what comes. But obviously, I was so thankful to win the contest.
Most definitely, man. Like when you got announced that you won, like did you actually see it coming, or like were you just kind of like astonished when you actually heard that, like wow, like Jeevz won?
I was surprised. Like I didn't expect to win. I feel like I was an underdog. I feel like those other artists like probably like putting more time in their craft than me. Like that's just how I feel.
And also, aside from with the Ryan Show, when you actually won, you actually I believe that was you actually are now being managed by the legendary Cal Dawson. I have to ask you, how does it feel to actually have a legendary manager like him, man? Because that's going from like, you know what I mean, straight to the top, like really quickly.
Feels great. We actually haven't started working together yet, but eventually we will. Once this like pandemic, like ends, then there'll be like more work to do with him.
Hey, you never know, man. I noticed you're very close now with the Ryan shows, so you never know. You might have some New York shows, man, and I can guarantee you with New York, you're gonna most definitely have some sold out shows.
Hell yeah! I'd love to come up from the DMV, Northern Virginia to be exact, up to New York just to perform at these things.
Hey man, you know what? I gotta say this there, Jeevz. You made it, bro. You most definitely made it, and there's nothing. No, there's nowhere up but here, man. In the music industry, a lot of people can say, "Oh, where there's no more up." There is, man. You can keep going way past, man. You can keep going and going and going, and I can see that for you, man, because you have raw talent.
Thank you so much. It's a dream come true because I've been dreaming of this for 15 years to be exact, and that's when I began rhyming.
And one thing I do want to ask, man, like, do you remember your very first like song that you wrote? And if so, like, did you ever put it? Did you actually after? Sorry, did you ever actually turn that into a song?
Yeah. Well, the first song I ever recorded, it's up on my SoundCloud, and I tried to release a project like 12 years ago, but I shelved it except for that one track.
And the one thing I saw on your Instagram that really caught my eye, man, you have a picture of yourself with Eric B and Rakim. I have to ask you, how did you get connected with them, and what was it like meeting those two East Coast legends?
It was wonderful. Like, I found out about it just by going to the concert, and then one of the vendors, selling merchandise there said there's a meet and greet. Tickets are running out fast, only $100, once in a lifetime. I decided to take advantage of it. And looking back, it was totally worth the money because you don't see legends every day.
Oh yeah, especially for $100. Like honestly, $100 to meet two legends. You know, and especially an old school hip hop duo like them, man. Not a lot of old school hip hop duos are even still together, let alone still doing stuff today, man. So that's really cool that you had the opportunity to meet Eric B and Rakim.
Hell yeah, twice I got to meet them. But the second time, it wasn't that formal. The first time was more intimate, and they were really nice.
Hey, they probably remembered you,
Not to
man.
me, but Rakim did.
But I have to say though, Rakim has some phenomenal bars as well, man. That show that you went to must have just been off the hook.
Most definitely. Paid in Full, Eric B for President, I Ain't No Joke, the Jam. And that's my favorite album by them, Paid in Full.
Well, that album's like a straight slapper, man. But one thing I did notice as well, man, and this actually really caught my eye, because me personally, I'm a huge fan of this individual. I saw a couple posts where you actually got to FaceTime with LL Cool J, man. First and foremost, I have to say, I'm super jealous, but I have to ask you, what was that experience like being able to FaceTime with LL Cool J?
Super crazy. Like, I wasn't able to go to sleep because of it. That night it happened. I remember my Instagram just blowing up with likes and comments, and I couldn't. It's an experience to brag about with all your peers.
Oh, most definitely. I'd brag about it too, man. Like, honestly, it's not every day you get to actually FaceTime with LL Cool J. Like, were you just viewing his, like, Instagram live and next thing you know, like, you requested to join and he brought you in? Or, like, was it kind of like a pre-planned thing?
You know what? Ever since it started like going live with fans, the cool down he's been doing like on almost everyday basis. All over a couple weeks he did it every day, but in the recent weeks he hasn't been doing it at all. But I was spending 2 months actually trying to get on to go like live with him. Every time I join, I always send requests, and somebody like him, with 1,000 like viewers, he'll get so many requests. It's super hard to get picked. It's like trying to win the lottery.
Hey, well, you most definitely won the lottery, man. You know, and I have to say, if I personally ever got on live with LL Cool J, I'd probably just like stare at him, and he'd be like, "You there?" He'd probably think my phone froze, and then he'd just be like, "All right, on to the next person."
What I got to do to Uncle L, actually spit my bars to him.
That's awesome.
I spit the hook to Ask Jeevz and the first verse, and LL thought it was unique, and he thought the song sounded like I was trolling him, and he definitely encouraged me to keep doing what I was doing. And then when our live ended, he kept saying my name. He wanted me to come back.
Hey, that's cool, man. If he's offering you to come back, then that must means that he really like enjoyed your talent, man. Same with the Ryan show; they really picked up on that as well, and I'm glad you won. Because when I say this, man, I don't say this as a DJ trying to gas up an artist. Like, if I tell this to a lot of people. If I really like your talent, I'll tell you. And I have to say, man, when I was listening to the Ryan show, I was like, man, I like this Jeevz guy, man. Like, I was rooting for you, man. I was voting. I was like, yo, Jeevz has to take this. And when you took the W, I'm like, yes, man, most definitely well deserved.
Thank you so much. Like, comparing me to like all the other artists you heard or are hearing, how do you think I stand out? Just out of curiosity.
Honestly, you're very distinctive. I look at it as today a lot of artists they sound the same. Unfortunately, you have that distinctive voice. If you when you're rapping, I notice you have like distinctive voice, you have amazing flow with on the microphone, but you have the distinctive voice, the voice where oh, I know that voice. That's Jeevz. You know what I mean? It's great to have that voice, especially in the music industry. So I actually was really drawn to your flow, your lyrics, your content that you provided. I really thought you were a phenomenal artist all around.
Thank you so much. And you really feel like I'm that kind of dude, 30 years old, by the way, who wants to pay homage to, all the old school legends, who wants to go out of my way as many times as possible to meet them when they come to DC. That's me.
And that's the best way to go, man. You know what I mean? Trying to keep the old school alive is the best way, because that's another thing that I liked about you as well, man, because a lot of artists, they forget about the individuals that came first. But you didn't, man. You realized that if it wasn't for these people, you wouldn't be Jeevz. So I respect that, man, right down to the fullest.
Thank you so much. I only decided upon style, a few years ago. Over the years, I was experimenting who I want to be like, what do I want my style to be, stuff like that. And the artists who I've listened to over the years have changed. Like, when I was in high school, I liked a lot of the Southern stuff that came out. It was good back then. Now, and then the New York stuff, whatever's on the radio. And then when I got to college, I just listened to mainstream artists. After college, over time, gradually, I lost interest in the mainstream, and now I just try to listen like the old school and underground, and I feel like that won my heart.
I most definitely agree. Unfortunately, in my personal opinion, I feel this like the mainstream really lost its really lost the key to hip hop actually around 2007. You started getting the auto tune started coming in, and all the littles started coming in.
The Southern rap was good then. There was no mumbling. There was no boring trap music.
I like that. I like that. That's perfect for this radio station, man. Because we don't support trap music. So just hearing an artist come on say that, it's like, yes, man, you fit in well here.
I personally appreciate trap music, but I feel like it's gotten lazier in the recent years. I feel like ever since mumble rap started, more rappers, they're not spitting bars anymore, the 90s cats or in the 2000s. They're just trying to sing, and they're trying to, and all the beats sound the same. It gets so boring, and I feel like the content's really dumbed down.
And also, one thing I noticed aside from your music type of thing, man, I saw a couple posts of you where you were actually at the White House in Washington, actually, for the annual Easter egg roll. And the reason why I'm asking this is because I've never personally had the opportunity to experience the White House. What was it like actually being at the White House, and did you have the opportunity to actually go inside?
No, not at all. But being on the White House property was great, and I got those tickets from work actually to attend the Easter egg roll for free.
Hey man, you can't go wrong with free.
Most definitely, you got anything that you get for free. That you when you get access to special occasions, take advantage of them.
And also, back to your music side of things, man, I also noticed that you released the album Ask Jeevz. I have to ask you, what's the inspiration behind that album? And of course, where can our listeners buy or stream themselves a copy?
Absolutely. So, back in high school, upon deciding my stage name, I feel like an album called Ask Jeevz would be, a good way to, sell yourself, catch people's attention without stealing the, original website, parodying them, because I don't want to get sued in the first place. But, that sort of thing. Speaking of the album, I did release it for a couple of days, and I actually took it down because I feel like, some tracks, needed work, but I will go, re-release it shortly.
And that's good, you know what I mean? And I look at it like this, you know what I mean? You always have to feel comfortable with your own work and make sure it's good to your standards, right? So I think the fans of yours will respect that, because you want to give them 100%, not 50, man. So I respect that, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. I really am looking forward to that Ask Jeevz record when it comes out, man.
It takes a lot. 7 new tracks, actually. And, in terms of songs, sometimes when you're in a rush to, when you accidentally overlook, like, the songs you're about to put out, and you don't pay attention to, like, every detail. You notice there were mistakes made by your engineer, or mistakes on your part, or there's some tracks that you wanted hands. When you make sure you go through, like, a couple tests and make sure you're 100% confident that you're ready to go, then you feel like dropping it. And a good example of this, ever heard of Astro World by Travis Scott?
I heard of that, yeah.
You know something like Yosemite? One of the verses was accidentally kept so low, and then they had to re-release it.
Oh, damn! I actually did not know that. I think I heard the song when it was re-released. I didn't hear the original.
Yeah. So people in the big record labels and a lot of like indie artists, sometimes they accidentally release things without thinking, and when it sounds terrible or it sounds like it needs work, it's a good thing about this day and age is that you can just pull it from the internet and then edit it and re-release.
And you know what? It's also learning from experience as well, right? A lot of individuals when they do their own music as well. Even some of these legends now, some of the individuals that were signed like 20 years ago, now they got to do their own distribution. Even some of them make their own common mistakes as well. It just comes with the territory, especially this day and age where, the music industry is pretty much like you guys got to fight for the food, right?
No, absolutely. And some artists even get old songs remastered, and I feel like it takes away the originality of the classic record. I feel like it only makes sense to get something remastered when it really needs to work on being mastered in the first place.
Most definitely, I agree with that 100%. Especially like when they have when they come out with like the 20th anniversary editions and they remaster them. It's like just slap 20th anniversary on there, put the original mixes on there, and let's call her a day. You know what I mean? I'll still buy it.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like anything in HD that they make from like a classic movie, which was the original quality picture. I don't like that for some reason. I don't like the cropping either because I feel like it alters like the past work sort of thing.
It's a good way to look at it because it really does. You know what I mean? It tries to make an 80s or a 90s movie or CD this day and age, and I don't know. Nostalgia is just great just the way it is.
Totally. That's why in music videos or when people try to make like a video that came out really in like 2020, make it look like it was in the 90s. That's why they have that damaged VHS effect.
And also
people
one song
that
I did notice.
Vinyls as well.
And one song I did notice that you did, which I really took a liking to, is actually a song called Destined to Shine featuring D Poet. I have to ask you, man, I was wondering this. How did you get connected with D Poet, and what was it like just doing that song with him?
I met him randomly outside the gym. And I met my engineer through him.
That's actually pretty cool, man. You know what I mean? It's not every day you go for a workout and then you come out, with some musical plugs. So, right place at the right time, as they say.
Absolutely. I even met somebody like outside at a gas station, and we linked up, and he's on one of my tracks.
Hey, man, you know what I mean? That's just luck with it. You know what I mean? You go to the store, you never know who you're gonna meet. Is that song still available on the net? Like, where can our listeners actually check that out for the individuals that haven't had the opportunity to hear it?
Oh, Destined to Shine, there's a video for it, and the single, which dropped 2 years ago.
So everybody, make sure you check that out, stream it, buy it. You know what I mean? Support the real, support D Poet and Jeevz.
Hell yeah!
The one thing I gotta ask you though, man, what is next for you?
Another thing I'm living the dream doing is reaching out to big names for collabs.
And see, in this day and age, it's phenomenal to do those collabs because it's all over the internet, right? They can be on one side of the world, you can be in the DMV, and you guys can just do it vice versa on the internet.
Hell yeah! You don't have to be the same studio as them. Engineers have evolved. It's like mixing tracks like recorded in a big studio versus recorded in your basement. And the latter's where I do record actually.
I don't know if you're interested, but one of the individuals that I actually had the privilege of interviewing, he's currently doing features. Mr. Servon from the No Limit Records, man. If you hit him up on Instagram, I think he has a COVID-19, like a coronavirus special going on. So he mentioned that to me a few weeks ago and asked if I was interested, and I told him I'm like, man, I'm not a rapper. You know what I mean? I don't know if I think I made a rap song, man. I think 90% of my viewer base would be like, I'm out. I'll stick to the DJ side of things, man. I'll stick to being a DJ. But the one thing I do want to ask you,
Like
Jeevz,
you only want to focus on your strengths and stick to them. You don't want to do anything that you're not comfortable doing. Like I tried making beats back in high school and it didn't work out. Like I wasn't that talented. I hung it up after high school and haven't looked back.
Man, I tried playing rapper back when I was like 18, 19, like every other like white kid with a Source magazine, and it just didn't work. Like I don't know, I called myself B Dog. I had glasses and braces. It just no. I wish someone would have told me don't go on stage, because you know what I mean. I think if they were all sober, they probably would have booed me off. But you know what I mean. It is what it is, right? I look at it as I found my calling doing this, and sometimes you just got to learn to know when you're not good at something, type thing,
Totally. I've had moments where I feel like, oh man, I couldn't take it to the next level, and I'm just gonna stick to where I am, but never lose the interest to rhyme. Like, don't completely let yourself go. And people like Joe Budden have done this. Like, he doesn't want to rap it right now, but he just wants to do podcasting.
That's right. A lot of people are into the whole podcast thing, man. I noticed that. What we're talking on right now is my radio station, and normally, like I had this was originally a podcast as well, but you know what I mean. I just noticed it was so hard to actually even make moves as a podcast because everybody has one.
Totally. Mr. Cheeks, I think, does it too with Ryan.
I have to say though, Ryan's podcast is phenomenal. I'm not just saying that because I air the show. You know what I mean? I'm saying that because like I'm not gonna lie to you, it like kicks every other podcast's ass. Just the content, like man, I've never seen a podcast go from like hip hop to like an athlete to a porn star in like 3 different weeks. You know what I mean? Like I think they had Sarah J on like a couple weeks ago, and I'm sitting back. I'm like, how did you get a porn star, man? Like you had a hip hop artist on last week. You had a guy that made Felix the Cat, then you got a porn star. It's like, dude, you have plugs everywhere. Like, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah. I definitely wish, the Ron Show gets, like, more attention.
Oh, it should, man. I most definitely agree because they deserve it, man. I believe it's 150 plus platforms last I noticed, and I noticed they just landed, I want to say, a Nigerian radio station, I believe, or an African radio station.
I saw that.
But I gotta ask you, Jeevz, like, what's next for you, man? Like, other than your album that you're re-releasing, what's next for you? Like, what's next in the works? Anything else you want to promote? We still have you here live on the radio?
Totally, like, Ass Cheese 2, Ass Cheese 3. I got the beats for all of those already, and I started songwriting them. An EP called Orange Ethnics, and that's pretty much it. And then I do want to, like, kind of like, take a break from just like, working on new music for some time, just like, enjoy other things in life, take care of like other responsibilities, and then for the rest of my life, just continue to like release new music. They're already like, veterans like Dot X still putting out music at 50 years old. Are you a fan of Dot X?
Pardon, sorry?
You a fan of Dot X?
I've heard of him, yeah. I'm not a huge fan, but I have heard of. I have listened to quite a few of his songs.
Word, he's from the group Brand Nubians, Lord Jamar and Grand Poobah.
I've heard of them. Oh yeah.
I met Sadat 4 times, and I do got a song with him.
Oh, nice, man. Well, can you actually let our listeners know where they can check that out? Because I'm pretty sure our listeners would dig that.
It hasn't been released. It's still in production.
Oh, well, damn, man. Well, like, can you give us a little bit of scoop? Like, I know, like, when you're doing a collab, you can't release too much information, but, like, what can our listeners expect from that single when it does drop?
Just, like, the old school feel, 90s feel, bars, that thing.
So, Jeevz, this is the time in the interview before I wrap things up, man, that I give a chance for the individual that comes on the radio station, just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to. And if you can, drop them social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and your music if they're not already doing so.
Absolutely, yo. Jeevz B, lowercase, at Jeevz B, I should say. And on Instagram, Jeevz B90, Twitter. Find me on SoundCloud and Bandcamp as well. Even though my Bandcamp is empty for now, but when the album drops, it'll be up there.
I gotta say, Jeevz, man, thank you so much again for coming on 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM, man. It was an absolute honor and a privilege, man. Keep making that amazing music, and if you ever need that extra exposure, don't hesitate to hit me up, man. You're always welcome on the radio station.
Thank you so much for having me on today. It was such a pleasure speaking with you and talking about my experiences and all, and you truly appreciating my craft.
Hey man, that's what I love to do with my radio station. I love individuals like you that actually try to keep real hip hop alive, man. Unfortunately, this day and age, not a lot of individuals really, care about the old school. A lot of individuals don't really care about the elements of hip hop, but I can tell you do with your bars and your rhymes, man. So keep making your music, and we most definitely will keep spinning it.
Thank you so much. Stay tuned for Ask Jeevz, and I got to tell you who will be on the album, and this is somebody you would probably know. Keith Murray from the Def Squad.
Oh man, Keith Murray is a legend. Man, that's actually really cool that you got Keith Murray as well, man. Yeah, dude. That actually kind of makes me excited, man. When I hear his music, it literally makes me just want to go out and commit crimes.
The most beautiful thing in this world. Enigma. Keith Murray. It's a beautiful thing. It reverse those because they're not in order. Rapmophobia, Lord of the Metaphor 2, Intellectual Violence, El Nino. I've listened to almost all his albums.
Hey man, that's actually phenomenal, bro. And you know what? It's really cool as well that you actually get to build relationships with people that you grew up listening to, man. That's the wonders of the music industry.
Hell yeah! I've only listened to Keith actually for a couple years. I didn't know who he was back in high school, and I got to see him perform live down in Largo, Maryland. Sit next to him at the bar, chop it up with him. Dropped all the name of his albums right as soon as I met him, and mentioned songs that weren't even hits, and it blew his mind. Craziest story to share to you.
Hey man, that's actually phenomenal, dude. And you know what? I'm looking forward to hearing that record as well. It sounds like you got some phenomenal individuals actually on that up and coming release.
Hell yeah! On the future tracks, I got the .X, Cannabis, Jamal, Malachi, and Biz are on the same track. And then the feature from World Flush is in production.
Hey man, I gotta say to everybody that is listening, make sure you stay updated, make sure you follow him on all platforms, and I encourage everybody, when that record drops, get it, because there's no one like Jeevz B that actually is getting individuals on their records as an underground artist. That's a phenomenal lineup. So you know what? Get the record, support the real. Don't stream it, buy it out. That's how you really pay the artist.
Stream is cool because at least they're giving me their time to listen.
That's true. Yeah, I'm just trying to get you some money, bro. Just trying to get you some money.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, honestly though, guys, also if you don't have money, stream it as well, because streams is good too. Just support Jeevz B, everyone. Make sure you support him.
Thank you so much. Yo, holla at your boy. That's Jeevz. That's the last line from the hook of Ask Jeevz.
But I do got to say, Jeevz, thank you so much again for coming on the radio station. You have yourself a wonderful night, and most definitely stay safe out there.
Thank you so much. You do the same.
You as well, brother. Thank you so much again.
Yep.